Hola a todos, ¿qué tal? Muy buenos días, de donde nos estén escuchando, o buenas tardes si están en otro lugar. Les damos la bienvenida a este cuarto encuentro creativo organizado aquí en Ciudad de México. Mi nombre es Humberto Aguayo, seré el moderador de esta excelente presentación. El tema de hoy es Co-Evolving Creativity with Machines y yo soy el Area Manager para Américas de NABA, la nueva Academia de Bellas Artes, la escuela más grande en Italia en arte y diseño. Estamos en Roma y en Milán. Le damos la bienvenida a nuestro profesor y catedrático Alessandro Chessa. Y les voy a platicar rapidísimo de Alessandro para que vean el excelente panelista que tenemos el día de hoy. Él es profesor e investigador, como les dije, y un poco de su biografía para ya dejarlo empezar. Alessandro Chessa, especialista en física teórica, un tema bastante interesante para quienes estamos interesados en el mundo de arte y diseño, y profesor en las reconocidas escuelas NABA y LUISS. Es investigador asociado en la Universidad de Boston. Actualmente estudia el impacto de la inteligencia artificial en la creatividad humana. Entonces, al final, les recuerdo, pueden irnos poniendo sus preguntas y los vamos a ir contestando al final y platicarles de las excelentes becas que se ofrecen para programas de verano y de trabajar en unas empresas. Entonces, sin quitarles más tiempo, Alessandro, the stage is yours. Thank you so much.
Okay, ready. So let me share my slide, but before a few words, thank you, Humberto, for the presentation. I barely understand the Spanish because it's kind of similar, close to Italian. I'm Italian, but I have to speak English for you. And so I am really honored to be here for this fourth edition of Encuentro Creativo. And I mean, it's a kind of magic because, I mean, you are roughly more than 10,000 kilometers far apart from here. I'm in Rome presently. So it's a kind of magic, and really honored to speak about what I do in NABA. So let me share the screen. If there is any problem, just switch on the microphone and tell me. And so as Humberto were mentioning, I'm a professor in AI and machine creativity in NABA. I'm also an entrepreneur, so I can share also some experience linked to the business, because of course there is the artistic part, but also the business part. But I mean, the subject of this lecture, this presentation is about creativity, so the artistic part. So I'm a physicist, so I'm not an artist. So what I provide in my lessons in NABA is just my experience, my technical experience, in order to let the students to leverage on these new tools in order to be more creative and hopefully to co-evolve, to cooperate with machines in order to get the best result for their artistic work. So what is creativity in the first place? So let me provide you a couple of definitions, actually 3 definitions. Creativity, so in the first definition, is production of innovation in the process of knowledge that have to be consensually appreciated, and has to provide a kind of leap in the quality of what is produced. The second is more schematic, but very effective. So creativity is the production of perceptible, new and useful. So there is this new, the idea of that the thing that is produced has to be useful for some usage. And the last one is from Oxford Languages, is the use of imagination or original ideas to create something. So, I mean, this is very close to what is happening right now with the so-called generative AI, the new wave of artificial intelligence. So it's something that is the origin of something that has to be creating basically from scratch. And I mean, the first remark I want to provide you is that you can be creative, but you can produce something that is not beautiful. So it's not necessarily beautiful what is created. You can be creative and produce something that is ugly, that is not beautiful at all. So you have, of course, to distinguish the two things. But let me start with this question. Is creativity really building something from scratch, or could be a random process of selection? And this is the starting point in the class in NABA, when I start with the first lesson with my students. And let me start with this image. So imagine to have this bunch of stones. I mean, this completely chaotic arrangement of stones. Can you imagine to produce something creative from these stones? And in this respect, I refer to the artwork of the Nizar Ali Badr. I met him on Facebook recently. A very beautiful sculpture that produced this beautiful combination of stones. So I call them kind of liquid sculptures, the so-called combinatorial art of stones. So let's see this very first, very simple, kind of trivial sculpture of stones. If you count them, they are just 10 stones. And with 10 stones, Nizar is able, to produce some emotion, at least to me. Knowing, of course, that Nizar Badr is Syrian. Nizar is Syrian. So this is the desperation of the population in Syria. With just, a proper, of course, arrangement of 10 stones, he's able to produce this. And let me tell you another thing. This is a combination of stones that reveals something that is inside us. I want to cite a very famous sentence by a famous Italian writer, that is Italo Calvino. It's a transcription of a series of conferences, Cybernetic and Ghosts, in 1967. Take a look at this sentence. So imagine a literary machine that can affect all possible permutation in a given material, but the poetic result will be the particular effect of one of these permutations. So you can basically produce some combination, and just one combination reveals something that is inside us. So the idea from Calvino was that, the beauty, the poetic effect is inside us, and something that is outside us is able to, reveal, to extract from ourselves this connection. These are other examples of beautiful sculptures by Nizar Ali Badr. This is the Exodus of the Syrian people, and is a mother with children, very beautiful. More stones in this case, of course, and also animals. So these fishes and birds. And so the very first exercise is in the class, in the co-evolving creativity with machine class in NABA, is this one. So before playing with computers, with digital stuff, let's play with stones. So I bring the stones in the class of various sizes, colors, shapes. And the idea is this. Is it possible to create something just throwing at random a bunch of stones? So this, you see the steps. So collect a bunch of stones, you decide, the number, the color, sizes, and so on and so forth. Just throw them randomly, then close your eyes and try to make some shape. And then you have, basically 5 moves in order to adjust what is emerging almost naturally from this drawing. If you repeat over and over this kind of process, is really revealing something that could be really beautiful. And this is, I show you some example. This is Nakeya, for example, that played with stones. Really few stones. You can see that there are 5 stones. And then, so this is the random throwing, then the blind creation. And then something is emerging, could be a mermaid, or if you move just this sky blue stone over there, you can see maybe a blue-eye fish. Or these are other examples, the climber by Xuan. And then the turtle. Sorry, there's some slide in Italian we translate live for you. This is a turtle, you see here, by Anna Fratuccello. Okay, so, and this is the very first exercise that I perform in the class with the students, in the very first lesson. Then, error as the motor of the creation of unprecedented possibilities. And you see, I mean, error in this case play a role in the sense that you throw at random these stones and just by chance something can emerge. And I mean, by chance can emerge also some very important scientific discovery. I provide you two very famous examples. For example, penicillin by Alexander Fleming in 1928 was discovered just by chance. Because Fleming was leaving his laboratory for vacation in summertime. He left open these plates with high humidity and high temperature, and some mold appeared on the bacteria, and he discovered that the mold was able to kill bacteria. And this was just the beginning of the penicillin, the discovery of penicillin. And but was Fleming there ready to understand what is going on? This is, I mean, the role. So you have a cooperation in a sense. You have, in this case, a kind of random process, and I mean, a mind that is ready to understand what is going on. Same thing for microwave oven. It was not a famous scientist, it was Percy Spencer. He was playing with vacuum tube that was emitting microwaves. For chance, he had a candy in his pocket, and passing by through this vacuum tube emitting microwave, candy start melting. So I understood the possibility to heat things, to eat food, for example, and this led by the end the discovery of the invention of the microwave oven. So let's think about art as a divine manifestation of chance would be, and I will show you in the examples, also the examples that were produced by students in their project work by the end of the course, that, I mean, chance play an important role in the generation of the image. There is anyway a generation process that is very much affected by noise, by error, by chance, and we have to be there cooperating with machine in order to extract beauty. We are, I mean, the leader in this process in discovering beauty in what is emerging from these machines. So let's speak about machines and intelligence. I mean, just few slides from an historical point of view. This is, I mean, the very first idea of computer by Turing, the so-called Turing machine. So imagine, doesn't matter the details of the working of this machine, it's not important, but imagine a pretty deterministic machine, something that is, I mean, kind of small processor that is running across this stripe with the information. This could be the CPU, this could be, I mean, the memory, the storage, and everything is deterministic. And the idea in the beginning, in the 50s, in the 60s, was that starting from this kind of machine, intelligence could be related to, I mean, the logic, I mean, the idea of the deterministic and logic. So superior logic was the old adagio, is the maximum expression of intelligence. So imagine a machine that is able to manage all possible logical rules. So to describe in any detail the characteristics, the features of, in this case, you have an example of a graph related to animals. So to imagine to describe knowledge through description, detailed description of everything. So, I mean, red, brown color, so the color of these animals, the shapes, what they eat, whatever. Since, of course, machines are able to manage much more rules with respect to humans, so the idea was that intelligent machines were machines with a lot of logical rules. And you have to know that these program failed completely. And the famous winter of AI started in around the 60s and the 70s. And the idea, I mean, the solution was already in the seminal paper, the seminal work of Alan Turing. This is the citation of the famous paper, Computing Machinery and Intelligence, 1950, that was, I mean, a technical paper. Inside the technical paper, you can find this beautiful sentence by Alan Turing. And he thought that a machine, to be intelligent, to be creative, has to be, I mean, in a sense, fallible, to be able to make mistakes, even to fall in love, to enjoy strawberries and cream. Really strange sentence for a technical paper. So not to be logical, but to be mistakable, to be fallible. And this is exactly what happened in the last 20 years in artificial intelligence after the winter of the 60s and the 70s. So the idea is this. You have, this is, I mean, the crucial point. You have to introduce the possibility of the error in the deterministic framework of the Turing machine. So from a mathematical point of view, this implies to introduce probability in the logical reasoning, because machines are able to learn something because they are able to fail and to make errors, to make mistakes, and to learn from mistakes, exactly as we human beings work. We work in this way. We work making mistakes and learning from mistakes. This is the basic idea. And so what happened recently is that we tried to mimic the shape of exactly the shape of the human brain in order to reproduce this kind of behavior. Not just a deterministic computer with circuits and logical rules, but something that is completely different, that is resembles the shape of our human brain. Here you see, I mean, the neurons, the electrical signals that travels across our brain. And everything here is not deterministic. I mean, there is a lot of noise. And I mean, of course, there is some structure. We have some regions, there is some kind of order that is emerging from our brain. But basically, from a microscopic point of view, we have a kind of statistical machine, probabilistic machine. And how can we recreate an artificial brain? So the idea is this. On top, you have the organic part, and on the bottom, you have the artificial part. Sorry again for the Italian, we translate everything. So the idea is this. You recreate a schematic view, a schematic, layout of a real brain in a shape of layers of artificial neurons. So you have layers like this one of neurons, the artificial, they are reproduced inside a computer. And you have, on the left, you have the input neurons, then you have the intermediate layers, and then you have the output neurons. So imagine to provide the knowledge starting from the left, and then you kind of train the machine. So the machine in the beginning is empty. It's completely empty. You teach the machine, you help the machine to understand the world, just providing example, providing knowledge in the form of examples for which you can tell the machine the answer. For example, if you want to teach the machine, this is the so-called artificial neural networks, to distinguish between images of cats and images of dogs, you provide millions of images of cats, and you know in the beginning, the training session, that they are cats, and millions of images of dogs, and not with rules, but just by example. So in some way, just fine-tuning the weights, the virtual weights that connects these artificial neurons, kind of parameter. You have really millions, billions of these parameters that are just ourselves, that are just themselves in order to store the concept of the cat, the concept of the dog. Okay, not explicitly, but implicitly. It's a kind of, kind of black box. No? So this is the procedure. And we had the three main facts that gave rise to the news wave, the new spring summer of AI. So new kind of algorithm. We'll tell you something more about this, the so-called deep learning layout for artificial neural networks. These are the new algorithms. So an important role was played by the GPU, so that new kind of hardware that is able, these are the graphic processing units, the graphic card that you have in your computer that are ideal to perform calculation for this kind of artificial deep learning neural networks. And the third important thing was the availability of big data. So without big data, without the availability of a huge amount of data, so the data that is needed to train, to teach the machine, everything that you can find in the world, the concept of the new artificial intelligence was not possible at all. So we are basically in this situation. Sad to say, we are providing through our devices, basically our cellular phone, a lot of information. We are interacting, we are writing our comments, our posts, we are providing images, we are providing videos, we are providing our voice, also the sound. So we are providing a lot of information, and the humble robots, the humble artificial intelligence are learning just because you are providing all this kind of data. And let me introduce this, this idea of complexity. It's really important. It's also the subject of my research. So everything I mentioned so far is related to the complexity of systems, because we have, on one side, we have the complexity of information that is going on over the web. In this case, the representation of the interaction in Facebook. So all the content that you can imagine is produced in Facebook. And on the right, you have, this kind of artificial brain, the micro complexity that is, is learning from this huge amount of information that's produced by us, basically. So, of course, this is an artificial brain, is kind of emulated inside the computer, but we are training this brain through our data. So, it's artificial, yes, but also it's human, because it's learning something that is produced by us human beings. So, and you will see is in the generative version is able to produce something that is very similar, not to what we produce as humans. So let's start from some example of image production. And by the way, this is the layout of convolutional neural networks. It's a kind of deep neural network. When you hear about deep, means that you have many layers between the input and the output. And this is this is related to the Nobel Prize in Physics that was recently attributed to Hopfield and Hinton. And Hopfield is a physicist, Hinton is a computer scientist. And especially Hinton conceived this architecture the convolutional neural network. This is very important for the, I mean, in this case, analysis, the analysis of an image. Let me show you an example. You can find open source libraries that are able to recognize in an image with very, very high accuracy the presence of any kind of subject inside an image. So imagine 1 is the best performance, very close to 1 is able to recognize a person, an horse, a dog, a car, and so on and so forth. So let me show you a video where this happens in real time for a trailer of very quickly. The open source library, the name is YOLO, is able to recognize not any object, the main most important object that are relevant for this video. The person, type, part, curve, it's very quickly. This is used to that kind of layout I presented was
on a cold winter morning, in the time before the light, in flames of death, see turn the rain, we ride towards the fight. When the darkness is falling down, in the times of tough or right, the sound of evil laughter falls around the world tonight. Fighting hard, fighting on for the steel, through the wastelands evermore. The skeletons.
I think is enough. Let's go ahead. Something that is not good because it's a kind of dark side of the artificial intelligence. There is also the cybercrime side. And if it's true that this kind of system are able to recognize easily some kind of signs, for example, a stop sign is an easy task for this kind of artificial intelligence. You can also cheat very easily, in the sense that you can change a little bit, I mean, the structure of this sign stop sign, and just with these patches, and you can do this because, I mean, sometimes the systems are not so strong, no, and if you can, with an adversarial example like this one, you can change the meaning from an artificial intelligence that is trying to perceive this kind of sign, you can change the meaning completely. Coming from stop sign becomes a speed limit sign that is really dangerous, of course. Just putting properly some patches on top of this stop sign. Let me show you another example, a video, in which you have two persons here. One has this kind of picture, and this picture is able to hide him from the artificial intelligence that is perceiving this person very clearly. It's the same library that I showed you before, the library of, the name was YOLO for the James Bond trailer. And you see, just with this simple, it's not so simple, but just with a picture like this, this guy disappears in front of. When he's not there, of course, the person is completely recognized. Okay, again, just with this sign, this picture in front of him, it disappears in front of the camera. And YOLO is not working, it's not able. Now, just moving apart and switching with the other guy, so this guy disappeared. Okay, and this was used by this capable startup by Rachele. This is Rachele, and she invented a fashion collection with the same kind of pictures that are able to hide you to the artificial intelligence. The camera around in the airports, there are a lot of in China, for example, this kind of camera that are able to recognize people. If you have this kind of suit with this kind of texture, you will be hidden by the camera that is trying to recognize you. And this is a kind of fashion related to artificial intelligence. And then there is the famous deepfake. Let me show you the website briefly. When you can fake, you can kind of mix. Let me show you the famous example of Elon Musk and Brad Pitt. The video is here. So starting from the video on the left, you can generate a deepfake video with the face of Brad Pitt. This is, I mean, the procedure is described. You can actually buy this service.
Merci, Alessandro.
Yes.
Can you put the volume a little bit down, please? We are not able to hear you.
Okay. And so this is just the procedure to create the deepfake. You provide, I mean, this video, for example, and then you provide something that is the, I mean, this we are providing a video on the left here. And then on the right, you provide an image of Brad Pitt, roughly of the same size, try to be, I mean, compatible in a sense to the video in order to ease the process for the system. And you see this was, I mean, the Brad Pitt picture. And then after that, you are able to create, you see the same video, exactly the same.
Massimo, sorry, we're not able to hear you, Nina. You can keep the volume a little bit down, please. Again.
Okay, we stop it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
Okay,
because
was
some are sending in the chat that they cannot hear.
of the video? Was too high the volume of the video?
Yeah, the volume of the video was a little bit high, so the students were not able to hear you.
Okay, okay, sorry. Okay. So let's go ahead. So another example in fine arts is related to the possibility for these AIs to catch the style and the connection of different painters just looking at the images. For example, in this case, you have this Bacon painting, and Velázquez was, I mean, previously done by Velázquez, of course. And I mean, this algorithm was able to see the influence of Velázquez on Bacon. Even if, I mean, you can, as a human being, you can see the connection. But if you think to a machine, it's not so easy, no, to connect these two machines. These two paintings. And the machine was able to see the connection of these two artists. The same for Picasso and Braque. This maybe is easier. And this is another example, because this is known, no? It's known that this painting by Van Gogh inspired Miro for this other painting. You see, I mean, there are a lot of differences in style, in the colors, in the shapes. Also, the position of the church is different. I mean, the inspiration is clear, and the machine was able to see this connection. In this case, the connection between Basile and Rockwell was discovered anew by the machine. Was not known, this connection, after the machine suggested the connection, in particular in these elements of these images. The art historian recognized the possible connection between Rockwell and this painting by Basile. Okay, so let me introduce the idea of machine creativity, because so far what we did is just to understand how machines are able to understand the world, to perceive the world, to classify the world. So the example I showed you was about the images in the beginning, was the ability of machines, of this artificial intelligence, to recognize every kind of object inside an image. I mean, this is the function of perception, if you think. So that is not trivial at all, but it is not creative in any sense. It's just the idea that the machines, after we train them with a lot of examples of images, of videos, or text, are able to understand, to perceive, to classify the world. But creativity, I mean, is another thing, but is very much related to this process. Let me tell you why. This is another thing that was in the Nobel Prize in Physics. The mechanism of, optimization of this kind of machines in order, in this case, to be creative. So let's explain again the mechanism behind the perception. That is also the prediction. So as I was mentioning, the idea is that when we perceive, we need to see a lot of examples of a certain phenomena, of a certain object. In this case, for example, we have an image of a dog. So imagine that you provide millions of different kinds of images of dogs. You know that are dogs. If the answer of the machine is wrong, is cat, there is a backward mechanism that is able to adjust this artificial brain, just to adjust the parameters, kind of plasticity of this artificial brain, in order to recognize the fact that the image was actually a dog and not a cat. So this is the way we teach the machine to distinguish between cat and dogs. And this is, from left to right, is the perception mechanism. So if you think to revert this arrow from right to left, what is going on? So imagine to have taught this artificial brain with millions of images of cats and dogs, this brain is done, is there. And imagine to revert this process of perception in the other direction, from right to left, in this way. So you ask something here, this is given, so you don't touch this artificial brain. This, in some sense, this brain knows about cats and dogs, and ask to optimize this image. Don't start with this image. Imagine a kind of blank image. So you ask for a dog, given this brain, what the brain is going to produce. And this is exactly the imagination process. So the idea is that we are, this happened for the first time in 2015 in the Google Labs. So it was the very first time that the creation, the imagination process happened. And the idea is that we ask, this is a way to extract the imagination of this artificial brain that were taught about, in this case, dogs and cats. And if you know the concept of a prompt for generating images and also text, this is the prompt. So you are asking the machine something to produce a dog, and this brain could have an idea, a general idea of a dog, and will display, will produce, will generate, this is the generative AI, will generate a dog that it is not exactly one dog that is saw previously. One could be a brand new dog that is in its imagination, exactly as we can do by ourselves. If I ask you to imagine, if I ask you for a dog, you start thinking and you produce in your mind something. Maybe it's a dog that you already saw in your life. Maybe it's a little bit different. So I'm asking to imagine something, and we are doing the same thing here. So reverting the perception process, we are generating something that is new. This is the imagination process. This is the creativity of machines. And let me show you some really funny examples. This was in 2015 in Google Labs, when, starting from this image, the researchers in Google asked for banana. You see, banana in the mind of this poor artificial brain is a kind of mixture of bananas. This was the starting point, and I mean the prompt. We asked for banana. And this was, roughly 10 years ago. It was 2015. It was the beginning of generative AI is not ChatGPT, of course. It's well before. Everything started in 2015. This is another example. Is a dumbbell in the gym. And this is really funny because the poor guy, the artificial intelligence, was not able to detach the dumbbell from the arm. So he saw only dumbbells attached to the arms in the gym. So, it was unable to detach the two things. And this was just the beginning. Let me tell you, this was the idea of, I don't know if you remember, this is the title of a famous short novel by Philip Dick. It is the novel of Blade Runner. And the question was, do androids dream of electric ships? And now we can say that yes, the answer is yes. If we provide this image of clouds to this artificial intelligence, that they are able to produce some kind of dream, maybe also a nightmare. And this is the result. And this was the idea basically of Michelangelo, if you remember. This is a famous sentence by Michelangelo. This is our black image, the white image in the beginning. So you have to imagine something inside this block of marble. So every block of stone has a statue inside itself. And it's up to the sculpture to discover it. This is was the idea of Michelangelo, to imagine something starting from a block of stone, this marble, or from an empty sheet, in which you just can imagine to draw something. This is in your mind. And let me show you a video about a process of generating iteratively images starting from this kind of simple image. Take a look at what is emerging from the mind, kind of nightmare of the machines. I think that this could be enough. Do you think that machine can be creative? Maybe too much. Maybe it's also scary. I don't know if this is beautiful. This is another problem, of course, but creative for sure. And I mean, this video was related to the deep brain generator that was released by Google in 2016, if I remember correctly. So all stuff. Now the new generative AI, you know, the famous names for generative images are Stable Diffusion, the open source project. Then you have Midjourney, DALL-E, and you have some other, but this is the most important one. And this is the main schema, the main process that is going on in this kind of system. So you have a forward diffusion process in which you introduce by hand some noise. And again, you see error and noise is in the game. And then you denoise. If you are using some of these systems, like, for example, Stable Diffusion, you have, a denoising factor that is exactly how to extract, so subtract the noise in order to get not the original, exactly the original image, but something that is a little bit different. So creativity goes in this way. So you put some noise by hand and then eliminate the noise because you train some neural network in order to understand the noise, in a sense. So it's a matter of managing the noise and the error in some sense. And let me present you in the last 10 minutes the projects, my students. So by the end of the course, so I propose from the beginning, students to form some groups and to decide for some specific project work in the shape of something that could be printed, something that is printable, because in my course, I will just provide tools to generate text and images, not videos. They will play with videos in the second year, but in the first year, they just use plain text with ChatGPT and produce images with Stable Diffusion, basically, and Midjourney. And they have to, think about something like, to produce a book, a magazine, for example, or a brochure, something like this. I can also other ideas if they have other ideas. So they start designing the product that by the end of the course will be printed and showcased also in some. Last weekend we showcased the projects of my students in Milan, close to Duomo. And let me show you some of these projects. This is a really beautiful magazine of Milan, Play. Play was also, the name of the first exposition we did with these works by my students in Milan was last year. And this is a magazine about Milan. And Siri used a very specific technique that is the blend of two images with different styles. So that is the generation of a third image, mixing, merging two different images. So you see here you have the image of this guy and this peculiar texture and styles for the clothes, no? And he produced a lot of, a magazine of roughly 100 pages. And you see here, your strange effect. It was 2 years ago. Now, you know that the tools are much more sophisticated in reproducing all the details of the body. But this is also interesting. It's a kind of a signature of the machine. And you see, the advertising of a perfume, and then this is, the index, and you have different sections. For example, you see the merging. I don't know if you ever visited Milan. You have the Duomo and the metro, the Galleria that we have in Milan, and technoculture. You see every kind of imagery. This is everything is done with Midjourney. This is play. You see, I mean, this is, you see, it's not Versace. It's something similar, no? Because of course the machine doesn't reproduce exactly what he saw, but something is a little bit different. There is some variation, no? Some mistake in a sense, but something that could be real, no? Could be reasonable in a sense. And this is the football section, and then this other section of these really beautiful images. The horoscope. This is the project by Alexandra. This is a comic book, extremely beautiful. So she produced this image. Now she was just employed in a computer game company just last week, Alexandra in Sweden, and she produced these images, these cartoons with Midjourney, and of course she was able to manage a specific tool to generate this kind of cartoons, of course. So you generate the images, and then you need to manage, of course, a proper tool in order to, build this kind of layout. And this is, the main character is Codex, that is this girl. And the problem for Alexandra at that time was to be consistent across all the cartoon with the image, with the resemblance of the face of Codex that was changing a little bit. So the idea was to have a very strong, very descriptive, very detailed prompt in order to describe the face of Codex in order to be consistent across the comic book. You see, very beautiful. I mean, the story, I read the story is beautiful. And she started with the story, and then it generated the images starting from the text, because you generate the images through the prompt, so through a text, the descriptive text, and she started with the text and then generated the images. This is the project by Shobana Shriarish. Shobana Ashri created the fashion collection blending two cultures, the Indian and the Western. You see here the texture of the clothes are Indian, and the shape clearly are not Indian, are Western. So the idea was to conceive a fashion collection that was a kind of mixture, and this is the Princess in View, is three different kind of collection. The Princess in View, some elegant textures and clothes. Then the casual fashion for the girl in you see, with the jeans, with these beautiful textures and you see also accessories. And then the professional Shritz in you. Shritz was the name of the collection, Shritz, blending cultures, Indian and Western. Then let me show you this beautiful, fantastic project by Michele Gatti, Binova Diaries. So these are the celestial coordinates of this planet. Sorry, this is in Italian, I translate for you. This is a really beautiful project. In the year 2019, a group of scientists reached, after years of research, a new planet very similar to planet Earth, where there were some living being, not human. So the task of the scientists was to write a report, a detailed report about the living creatures and all the objects that they found in this extra this planet outside, I mean, our solar planet. And the name is Binova, and take a look at this. So this is the process of creating, starting from regular plants, of course, creating really strange, new, alien, I would say, flowers, and also living creatures like these mushrooms you see here, really beautiful, with also the descriptions of the phenomena occurring in this planet, all the coordinates, all the points, you see, really beautiful. This is by Michele. Then this Caravaggio, this is a very nice idea by these students, Erika, Stefania, and Claudia. So they created this, they pretended to discover the kind of unknown Caravaggio, and they make up a story about, I mean, the discovery of this Caravaggio, because, you know, it's very easy to regenerate a Caravaggio that is, I mean, non-existent Caravaggio that is very similar in the style of Caravaggio. And so they make up these stories with the news of the discovery, and they create a kind of exposition of this new Caravaggio. I mean, this was the catalog of the exposition in Brera. There was the famous Brera Pinacoteca in Milan. And just starting from the idea that you can create something that is very close to the style of Caravaggio, could be a painting of Caravaggio, but it's not actually. It's just, I mean, kind of fake. But it's very difficult to distinguish. Then another beautiful project by Asia. She conceived a furniture catalog starting from fruits, fruiform. Then you have this chair, the berries. This is the name, so you have the description like a regular catalog. And then she put, this was done with Photoshop. So the generation of the single object, the single furniture, this chair is by Midjourney. And then she put in a specific environment through Photoshop, I mean, the artificially generated furniture. In this case, the chair, this is berries. Then you have grapes, is a couch with grapes. Then this is table with banani. And then Pierco. And you see a beautiful. And then I think this is the last one. We are going just in time. This is a fantastic menu by Hongwei Wong and Yanlong Liao. They created this menu mixing food, a famous monument around the world. So this is Tree of Life with prosciutto, you see here. With I mean, there is also a price, €8. And then there, you know the Rosetta Stone. This is a kind of cookie, mooncakes, or I mean a cake, Whispers of Time, for €6. And then you have plate 7 with strawberry and tomato mint. Then this is a famous monument, if I remember correctly, in Sydney. It's the opera with lobsters, a special kind of pizza, Melody of the Ocean. And then this Chip and Age for $10. It's a Stone Age with French fries, I guess, something like this. And then the Great Wall, Tofu Light of the Wall. This is spaghetti Ponte d'Amor, an Italian recipe, spaghetti tomato sauce with a bridge. And then finally this Arabica Flame spicy coffee with the chocolate in this toilet. And that's it. So I'm done. I hope you enjoyed what I presented. And so if you have questions, I'm ready here to answer. If you have also, if you need some, some explanation of what I presented that it was not clear, I'm here also to explain in detail. So thank you.
Grazie, Alessandro. Thank you very much. That was incredible. I have several questions here from our audience, and not complicated because they're in English. And let's start with I'll just go with the questions on the order they were received. The first question is from Adriana Ugalde, and it says, you told us that the machine makes the same like the humans with inspirations with other artists. It's the same method that use it for creation, so the machines can replace the creativity of humans.
No, the answer is no, because it's not replacing, it's just, it's the idea of the course is cooperating. So we can go in parallel, we can exchange ideas exactly as you do with your colleague. So the creation process could be a cooperative process, and it's not the case that machine will replace. Is another subject that is able to propose something to you, like as an artist with which you are collaborating, and you decide what to pick up from the machine. And as I was mentioning, the problem is to judge the beauty of what you created and the machine creates. So I don't think that is going to replace, is really the idea that you leverage on the fantasy, because we are showing, it is clear that machine has a lot of fantasy, can be really creative, but there is no, direction in deciding for the beauty of what is created.
All right, thank you, Alessandro. The next question is from Carla. Do you think that in the near future, artificial intelligence will replace creative minds in the workflow?
No, I didn't understand the question.
Do you think that in the near future, artificial intelligence will replace human creative minds in the workforce?
No, it was the same question as the previous one.
Okay.
No, the answer is no.
Okay, thank you. Now, the next question is, where do you think you can draw the line between using AI as a tool and relying completely on it?
Oh, this is a good question. Because I would suggest, in the creative process, in the production of the artistic work, to try to separate things. So to do something without machines from scratch, exactly where we were doing with my students with the stones, and then try, to cooperate with the machine after that. Try to separate clearly what you are doing by yourself and what we are doing with machines. This could be important in order, also to declare the, kind of originality and property. You can do both things, of course. For example, an artist friend of mine is doing things like this. He starting producing something with generative artificial intelligence, and then he is not using directly the result, but he's just got inspiration to produce something directly from, he's a photographer, just shooting. And not elaborating with Photoshop, for example, the result, but just as a starting point as an inspiration, and then doing completely without artificial intelligence a brand new photograph, for example, in a new picture. This could be an idea.
All right, thank you. The next question is, what is your favorite AI?
I have a suggestion for you. Nowadays, Midjourney is producing really beautiful images by kind of stereotype. I warmly suggest you to go for stable diffusion for generative images, of course, because it's open source. There is a very huge community that is operating on this open source project. And you have more control in an open source project, of course. And I know that the majority of artists around the world are using Stable Diffusion. So go for Stable Diffusion. For texts, of course, there is ChatGPT right now that is extremely powerful. Even there, you have open source LLMs, the so-called LLMs, so the system that are able to generate texts. And for example, Llama is a famous one that is open source. Of course, you need a facility, both per Stable Diffusion and LLM, because your laptop is not enough usually. And I mean, in NABA, we have facilities, of course, to run this kind of open source projects. We are working on them. So this is my suggestion.
All right, thank you, Alessandro. The next question is, how did you find all these incredible projects that you show us? Where are your information sources from?
The students' projects, you mean?
Just, yes, incredible projects that you showed us.
Yes, they are just by my students. So the various classes I had in NABA in the last 2 years. I mean, I would say that they did almost everything by themselves. So I just introduced the tools. We spoke about the details of the parameters. And I mean, it was a surprise for me. They were able just by themselves to produce everything from scratch. There was some guidance by me, by the course leader, that was Michele Aquila. But I mean, they are very talented people in NABA, and it was a kind of surprise, I would say. And they just, what you saw, they did by themselves. So this was the thing.
Thank you. The next question is, how can you ensure that people use AI to exploit their creativity and not to trick people? How can new generations be safe and identify possible scams?
Oh, this is a really tricky question. Nowadays, it's not so easy to check for images that were generated by generative AI. But from an artistic point of view, this is not a problem at all. This could be a problem for fake news, for sure, but not for artistic work, because after all, what is beautiful is beautiful. That's it. I mean, if you are able to produce, imagine, I mean, a good parallel could be for the cameras, the photography, okay? I mean, you are just taking pictures of the world. I mean, it's there. But if you are able to take the right position, the right light, the right parameter of the machine, you are leveraging on a very powerful tool that is a camera. And I mean, even if you are using a powerful tool, you generate something that is personal, that can have your style. And if it is beautiful, it's beautiful. That's it. I mean, from an artistic point of view, it's not a problem that is generated by a machine. Could be a camera, could be a generative AI, could be Midjourney. I mean, whatever. Another point is another problem are fake news, of course. Faking something. But I mean, faking is not a problem in art, I would say. No? What do you think?
Complicated. The next question is, well, it's a statement first. I started engineering in interactive technology, and we were told that artificial intelligence is only as smart as a programmer is. Do you agree with this?
No, no, it's not like this. Absolutely. Much more smart. I mean, you played with ChatGPT. Come on. I mean, it's really smart. Then, of course, if you scratch the surface, if we are doing as an exercise in my class, I mean, especially for the knowledge, at a certain point, start to invent something. But I mean, on average, I mean, the level of knowledge is extremely, extremely high, and also is able to do things that are really, really, I mean, difficult for an average human being. Just, I mean, in no time is able to summarize, I mean, hundreds of pages in a really, really effective way. And it's, I mean, is not like this. It's not as smart as a program at all.
Thank you. We have 4 more questions. Do you have any book you could recommend us?
I mean, I can suggest a book from a technical point of view, not from an artistic point of view. I have to be humble in this sense, but I can suggest a very important book that made a difference 15 years ago. I mean, was also a starting point for scientists in order to start again with, I mean, considering artificial intelligence as a good subject of research. It is On Intelligence. The book is On Intelligence by Jeff Hawkins. This was really a breakthrough, an important book about the new way of conceiving artificial intelligence. On Intelligence by Jeff Hawkins.
Thank you. We have 3 more questions. The next one is, how can co-evolving creativity between humans and machines through the use of artificial intelligence impact the design and development of luxury architectural projects? And in what ways can AI enhance personalization and exclusivity in this sector?
Oh, I'm not able to answer to the first part of the question. I have to confess, because I don't know. For the second part, is similar to some of the previous questions. I mean, the personalization is a matter of a compromise between what is emerging from the machine and what you are selecting that is emerging from the machine. I mean, for this reason, I'm starting from the idea of selection process, because this is the point. Machine is producing a lot of things that could be interesting, and you select, you decide the direction, and this is your, your style, your idea, your driving, and this is a way to personalize.
All right, thank you. And 2 more questions. Is there a course that you can recommend we take to learn more about this?
Oh, no, I don't know any courses about this. You have a lot of small videos in YouTube, of course, about this kind of tools. I didn't see anything directly related to the product, to the artistic production. I think that there is something, but for the rest, you need NABA, for sure.
Right, good question and good reply. And the last question we have is, oh, sorry, you have 2 more. Can an image created by AI be copyrighted, and how, or if there's no such legislation about it, do you think it's needed to create this type of legislation?
Yes, I think it is needed. This is, complicated question to answer. I don't have, the knowledge, the low knowledge to answer this question, because really I don't know, but it's needed for sure. Exactly as it happens in other artistic fields, you need a way to secure, your production. And even if you started with something that is something like Midjourney or Stable Diffusion that has already a lot of things inside, but let's call it the last mile that you put as your, as your effort, as your contribution. I think that needs to be, in a sense, protected, but I don't know how to do this.
All right, thank you. And the last question we have for today is, which AI would be the best for videos, like the dog video we saw?
Oh, the dog, this was an old stuff, the video about, this was the Deep Dream Generator. You can find it in the web, just Google it, deep dream generator. There is, is in the video production is really in an early stage. To play with an open source project, I can suggest Picalab. Picalab is very simple. It produces small, very short videos. If I remember correctly, it's 5 seconds, 5-second videos. But then you can collect them. You can generate, a more complicated video with different views, just attaching more than one, of course, short videos of 3, 5. I don't remember if 3 or 5 seconds. Picalabs. But it's really in early stage.
All right. Thank you, Alessandro. Those are all the questions that we have. Thank you so much for your time. On behalf of NABA and Encuentro Creativo, or first edition, and just some quick messages in Spanish. Les quiero recordar que tenemos una increíble oportunidad de hacer un internship con Dan Casab. Y que necesitan, obviamente, este internship es únanse al equipo de una de las diseñadoras mexicanas más influyentes y participen en la creación de proyectos que fusionan moda y diseño. Y que también se van a llevar por parte de NABA una beca del 100% para hacer un curso de verano intensivo de 2 semanas en verano 2025 en Milán o en Roma, en áreas como diseño, moda, bellas artes, artes y multimedia, comunicación, cultura e italiana. Y también tenemos 2 becas más del 50%. Recuerden que necesitan para la beca de Dan Casab mínimo el 60% asistencia a las ponencias que se están teniendo en esta 4ª edición de Encuentro Creativo, y también para participar en las de NABA. Entonces, muchas gracias por su participación. Los esperamos en las próximas conferencias que vamos a impartir de NABA, una este viernes y una la próxima semana. Muchas gracias. Claudia, te cedo la palabra.
Muchas gracias, Humberto, y muchas gracias, Alessandro, por esta sesión. Los invitamos a todos a que se sigan inscribiendo a las siguientes sesiones de Encuentro Creativo. Muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Alessandro.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
A pleasure. Gracias, Claudia, y felicidades.